up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot to get into in the world of volleyball, such as T-Sun taking down a top 10 team in Pepperdine. Are the Matadors for real? Also, how about McKendree taking down number 12 Lewis on the road? Pretty darn good for those Bearcats as they finally got their big breakout win. And in NCAA women's volleyball news, we have Mary White stepping down as head coach of Florida women's volleyball. Who will be her replacement, and why did she choose to leave? Also, Oregon has hired their new head coach, as they just managed to snag someone from the West Coast Conference. Who's this coach, and where will he or she be going in terms of Oregon? And the Vegas Steel continues to look really good for CBS. Overall, Supernovas are not too far behind from them, and much more in the TBS. Also, LAVB has its big event in Kansas City this week. I'll be doing that and much more. So hand your volleyball, step after that, because I'm about to put different volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of Set Point here on iSports Radio. Your recipe for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 285 of Set Point. Without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without iSports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow Set Point on social media, on X, at set_point.ie, as well as Instagram. I'll get that up in a little bit. And you can follow me, the host, personally on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez1. But also follow IE Sports Radio on social media, at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate that. We are so close to getting to 500 subscribers. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers by the end of March. With your help, we can definitely make it happen, and we would be greatly appreciative if you were to subscribe to us. Also, make sure to check us out on other podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, JioSaavn, and much more. Also, make sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as Set Point, being this show. Our merchandise shop where you can cop t-shirts and tank tops. Unfortunately, we don't have any hoodies for the time being, but we should be back in stock really soon. Also, check out our Hall of Fame, where yours truly is inducted into the Hall of Fame as inductee number 10, and much more. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals, as well as Raw Nutrition and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on in to what they're all about.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our amazing sponsors, including our newest one, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Use the code IESR to get 10% off on your most recent order. We would greatly appreciate that if you checked them out, as well as our other sponsors. And the way you can follow me on Instagram is @set_point IESR. Without any further delay, let's do this. So we got to discuss some NCAA men's volleyball to discuss, as there was a lot to go over this past week. It was an absolutely big week in terms of big-time matches. And the whole thing started on Tuesday when UC San Diego took on LMU, or Lincoln Memorial, which both teams were ranked. It was a pretty good match, but in the end, UC San Diego was able to pull out the victory. So a big win for UC San Diego. It was at home, and honestly, this isn't ultimately surprising. This isn't too surprising if you ask me, just because UC San Diego is very talented, if you ask me. And I thought that this was kind of going to be a big, tough test for Lincoln Memorial, but the Tritons were able to win it in straight sets. Now, UC San Diego has been flying under the radar, in my opinion, and I think that is big for the Tritons, just because I think that the Big West, they're going to need to be good once Big West Conference play comes, just because Hawaii, Long Beach State, and UC Irvine are obviously going to contend for the crown, but they may be throwing their name into the hat when it comes to contending for the title as well. Now, do I expect them to be true contenders? No, but I expect them to possibly get to the semifinals if they continue to play their cards right. Bryce Dvorak continues to be a beast for them. Anthony Sherfon and Leo Provednikov both are amazing as well. We also got Jim Garrison, so there's that right there. Now, for Lincoln Memorial, I will just say, despite the loss, I think they're still going to be winning their conference, the IVA, the Independent Volleyball Association. So if this one loss, I don't think is going to define them. Obviously, they weren't going to be going undefeated altogether, but I will say I think that this was going to be their first true test. Now, obviously, they had their first test against Harvard, but I thought that they were going to get really challenged when it comes to this matchup against UC San Diego, and I thought they did well for the most part, but overall, I just thought that they just could not keep up with the Tritons, especially on the West Coast. They did bounce back with a win over Concordia Irvine on Wednesday, but that was beside the point. The point was that they lost to this ranked team being UC San Diego, and that was that. And then on Wednesday, we had Lewis taking down Lindenwood in 4 sets. Nice win right there. That was the MIVA action. So, I mean, Lindenwood has been receiving votes. I wouldn't say they've been flashy and whatnot, but I will also say that the MIVA could be wide open this season. And then also on Wednesday, we had Hawaii winning a barn burner against Stanford. The first 2 sets, the 2 teams split, and then Stanford was leading in the 3rd set, and then Hawaii ripped off 8 straight points, courtesy of Kurt Neuster's big-time serving. His serving was just so tough. We got to see a lot of tough serving from both these teams. Eventually, Hawaii wound up winning the 3rd set. Stanford won the 4th set. 5th set, Hawaii was up 14-12. Stanford rounded off 2 straight points off of a service error from Hawaii and a block at the net from Stanford. But Stanford missed their serve, and then Hawaii won the match off of a Tread Rosenthal dump. That was big right there for Hawaii. Another big test passed for this young Hawaii team. Now, Stanford was also young. For those that don't know, Stanford actually has 0 seniors in their starting lineup. 0 seniors in their starting lineup. And they managed to nearly beat Hawaii on the road, which I think was incredible. And then on Thursday, we had Loyola Chicago sweeping McKendree. Not a bad win, if you ask me. Ball State outlasted Purdue Fort Wayne in 5 sets in the Battle of Indiana. This seems to be a running theme and recurring theme where we're getting some of the best shots from some of these teams that aren't really getting the love and recognition nationally in terms of these conferences. Like Purdue Fort Wayne, Ball State, I kind of figured that was kind of going to be a sneaky good match just because it's an in-state rivalry and you got to love Purdue Fort Wayne's fight. They do have a ranked win this season being against Harvard, but I will say Ball State just had a little bit more in the tank as that 5th set was decided 15-13. And then also on Thursday, we had the Masters College of the NAIA taking down Vanguard on the road in a little bit of a classic rematch from back when Vanguard was an NAIA school. The Masters wound up winning in 4 sets. Obviously, this is a little bit of a down year for Vanguard. They don't have Will Anderson. They don't have Ryan Smith. Those 2 graduated. The Masters College is as good as they could be. This is a legit team, so this is no doubt in my mind a team that I thought was going to be winning. And if I recall correctly, I think Park from Missouri is still an NAIA team. They took down Missouri S&T in a little bit of an in-state rivalry in straight sets. So you had that right there. Then we jumped to Friday. We had Harvard taking down Penn State in straight sets. This was a big win. Harvard was at home, and they were catching a reeling Penn State team who had yet to win a match. They were tested. They did take on UCLA twice, took on Stanford, USC, Loyola Chicago, and Lewis. Prior to this, their matches against Ohio State were unfortunately canceled. They're looking like it's going to be replayed or rescheduled, but it's it hasn't been said as of right now. But Harvard was determined to win, and Harvard was able to do that. That one was so significant because Harvard snapped Penn State's 38-match winning streak in terms of regular season wins in the EIVA. And they also snapped a 24-match winning streak in terms of EIVA matches from the EIVA tournament and in the EIVA regular season. So Harvard really put their foot down when it came to this matchup against Penn State. Penn State is still a little down this year. Obviously, this matchup saw them not having any players with double-digit kills, but Harvard did have one. This was a little bit of an old-school match. Both teams hit in below 200. Harvard hit in the 190 range, while Penn State kind of hit in like the 130, 140 range. But for Penn State, this was just a tough loss, and this kind of best describes their season. But you're about to see that this wasn't as tough of a loss. And then also in the EIVA, well, not involving an EIVA matchup, but LIU did take down number 17 Princeton in 4 sets. Another ranked win for the Sharks as LIU continues to take down ranked teams. Last year they took down Lewis. This year they took down Princeton. This was on the road in Princeton, so this was a great win for LIU. I had to give them their props right there. We also had CSUN taking down Dominican. We had number 6 BYU taking down number 15 UC Santa Barbara in straight sets. We had UC San Diego outlasting Vanguard in 5 sets. The Tritons took the first set, then the Lions took the second set, and then in close fashion, UC San Diego wound up winning the 5th set 15-13. This could have been a little bit of a revenge match. This was played at Vanguard University, and this was the second meeting between the Tritons and the Lions. But Brad Rostrader, who used to coach at Vanguard, came out on top with his program. And Vanguard is still looking for their first ranked win as an NCAA men's volleyball program. They did have a ranked win as an NAI men's volleyball program against an NCAA men's volleyball team in Division I, Division II, but that's unfortunately not the case here. Then we had the match of the night, match of the week. We had Long Beach State taking down UCLA in 4 sets. Long Beach State looked good in the first set. UCLA also kind of showed some flash in the second set. It was tight early on in the second set, and then Long Beach State was able to find some separation and in the third set, and then eventually so on and so forth. UCLA did the same thing in the second set, and then in the 4th set, Long Beach State just jumped out to an early lead, and they never looked back as Long Beach State played the part of being the number 1 ranked team, which was very impressive by them. The two will also face each other on this Wednesday, but I digress. And then closing off Friday, we had number 9 Stanford taking down Hawaii in 4 sets. This was Stanford's first win against Hawaii since 2016, and it was also their first win in Hawaii since 2013, which I thought was pretty darn impressive if you ask me. The young Cardinal, remember, no seniors in their starting lineup. They managed to pull off an upset win on the road in Hawaii. The fans, there was over 7,500, nearly 8,000 people in attendance on Friday, and there was like somewhere over 6,000 or near 6,000 between Hawaii and Stanford in a midweek match on Wednesday, which I thought was pretty darn good. So a great win for Stanford on the road, which definitely is going to pay dividends for them. And they handed Hawaii their first loss of the season. The title of the show was going to be Hawaii 10-0 had Hawaii continued to be undefeated. But unfortunately, Stanford had other plans. We won't be seeing Hawaii for another week or so, as they won't be back in action until they take on I think it was Belmont Abbey or Queens. Regardless, they're taking on the Carolina teams. But then after that, the next true challenge is going to be against UC Irvine at the Stan Sheriff Center. So you have that to look forward to as well. And then we jump to Saturday. Some notable matches here and there. We had Belmont Abbey taking down Emmanuel in straight sets. Mount Olive took down Lees McRae in straight sets. USC took down Dominican in straight sets, which the Trojans are just rolling. But this week, they're going to get tested. And then we had Penn State getting their first win of the season, taking down Harvard in straight sets on the road. It's about time we got to see Penn State pulling off the win. So good job to them. We had George Mason also take down Fairleigh Dickinson in 4 sets. Now, I forgot to mention this on Friday. NJIT, they took down number 20 George Mason in 5 sets in EIVA action. we are literally going to be seeing a lot of EIVA teams on the horizon stepping up. And my boy Dre Area Sports or Andre Fernandez said, how about that Stanford men's volleyball? Oh, yeah. Stanford men's volleyball really impressed me. It was worth staying up pretty late, if you ask me, to see them being so impressive and so talented. I will just say Stanford will have some more tests and challenges in the MPSF, but this Stanford men's volleyball team is going to be something special. They're special already, but the future looks definitely bright with players like Teo Snooey, Moses Wagner, Evan Porter, Teran Rodriguez. I pronounced his name incorrectly the first go around in my weekly NCAA men's volleyball rotation, so I'm not even going to try. But yeah, this and Nate Clinton, that's another name to watch for. Kumana Carrera and Reed Wainwright, that's another pair of names. Like, this Stanford team is going to be so dangerous in the coming years, so keep an eye out for Stanford men's volleyball. That means you too, Andre. Okay, but yeah, back to NJIT versus George Mason, a 5-set thriller with the Highlanders winning. The Highlanders look very good. Their only 2 losses are against Grant Canyon, but ever since they lost to them, they've reeled off 6 straight wins. And you're about to see that's actually going to pay off big time for them. But yeah, back to Saturday, we had George Mason taking down Fairleigh Dickinson in 4 sets, which I thought was a good win for them. They definitely needed it for the most part. Loyola Chicago, number 7, Loyola Chicago took down number 14, Ohio State in 4 sets. The Ramblers remain undefeated with Shane Davis returning to the helm. This Rambler team is looking really good. I really want to see them continue their winning ways this week in MIVA play. We had then another big upset. We had number 16 CSUN taking down number 10 Pepperdine in straight sets. This was CSUN's first win over Pepperdine in over 10 years. And it was their first ranked win of the season. And CSUN is off to their best start in program history since maybe the 90s. This has just been a great year for the Big West Conference altogether, just because CSUN has been flying under the radar. They have a lot of good players like Jalen Phillips. He's been outstanding. They got Lorenzo Bertozzi. He's been solid. Donovan Constable. They even got their talented freshman middle, Stelian Belinosov. I think I mispronounced that incorrectly. But, yeah, this CSUN team is definitely looking very promising and special. I really think the Big West is going to be an absolute bloodbath. It's going to be an all-out war. No team is going to be safe, not even Long Beach State and UC Irvine in Hawaii. So, yeah, and this is confirmed that CSUN managed to win their first game in Malibu since 2011, which I thought was very impressive. And this is their best start in 15 seasons. That's just how big that win over Pepperdine was for CSUN. They definitely have earned my respect, and they should be earning the respect from everybody. And then another big upset. This might be the upset of the week. McKendree, unranked McKendree, went into Lewis in Romeoville and beat them in 4 sets, which I thought was very, very good. The Bearcats have played a very tough schedule, playing the likes of UC San Diego and Hawaii, but it's starting to pay dividends as the Bearcats managed to pull off this big win over the Flyers, and the MIVA is definitely wide open. I mean, obviously you got Loyola Chicago and Ball State being the 2 catalysts, but honestly, I think McKendree can sneak their way up there. I think McKendree has the scrappiness. You got to give it up to Nikki Sandlin and her team. She is definitely putting the MIVA on notice, and she's putting the entire NCAA men's volleyball team on notice. Then closing off Saturday, we had BYU sweeping UC Santa Barbara for a second straight night. And then we had a little bit of an interesting match. UC Irvine, number 2 UC Irvine, took down Concordia Irvine on the road in 4 sets. The Anteaters had a little bit of trouble in that first set, and Concordia Irvine could have definitely won it. And they had their opportunities, but UC Irvine wound up winning in overtime, won the first set 28-26, wound up cruising through the second set. Concordia Irvine inched out the third set, and then Irvine just had enough in the tank to win the 4th set, or UC Irvine for that matter, as they took down Concordia Irvine in the Battle of Irvine. So a good win for UC Irvine, but now they're going to get really tested as they've got USC this week, which is going to be very, 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 very fun. And then I guess on Sunday we had Pepperdine taking down Dominican in straight sets. Dominican of New York, nice little bounce back win right there. And then we had Charleston of West Virginia taking down Sacred Heart in 4 sets. They went 2-0 in EIVA play to start the week off in EIVA play. So good job to the Golden Eagles or the Golden Hawks. So that's pretty much that for the notable matches right there from week 6. So that'll basically do it for the week 6 recap. But there was some NCAA men's volleyball news as Matt Worley resigned from his position as the Grand Canyon men's volleyball coach, and he took the assistant coach position at Kansas in terms of women's volleyball. So a little bit of a shocker of a news right there. Matt Worley resigned from his position, and this is mid-season. He didn't even play out the rest of the season, which kind of strikes me as odd. It's like, I don't know why he would leave in the middle of the season. So now his assistant coaches are now going to have to take over for GCU. And this also kind of makes me wonder, if GCU does win the national championship, does Matt Worley still get a championship ring? It's food for thought right there, but I digress. All right, but that's that for that little bit of news right there. This was a big shocker right there, and he said he had been, and according to an outside source, he had been determined to take this position, and I didn't think he would be leaving in the middle of the season. So I wish Matt Worley the best at Kansas, and Jayhawks, you're getting a real good assistant coach. But now let's jump on into this week's AVCA men's volleyball coaches poll. Top 5 is still the same. Loyola Chicago is up to number 6. Stanford moved up a spot, which I thought was pretty good. Grand Canyon also moved up a spot back into the top 10 after Pepperdine's loss. Keep in mind, Grand Canyon was idle this past week, so what a whirlwind of a week for Grand Canyon, seeing their head coach resign, and then they moved up in the standings. Then UC San Diego also moved up. CSUN had the biggest jump from this past week. And then Lincoln Memorial still ranked. 2 newcomers in the poll. We have McKendree and NJIT, the Jersey Grit right there. And then Penn State is rounding off the top 20, being number 20. So there's your top 20 right there. Just going to keep it scrolling for a little while longer, but that is pretty much going to be it right there. And then there was no off-the-block media poll from this past week, so you have that. So nothing to really go over in terms of that. But who did I vote for in this week's off-the-block media poll, which is going to be released tomorrow, as this is being recorded on a Monday. So here's who I voted for. I voted Long Beach State 1, UC Irvine 2, UCLA 3, Hawaii 4, USC 5, Loyola Chicago 6, BYU 7, Ball State 8, Stanford 9, and Grand Canyon 10. I don't know why Ball State is kind of getting the shaft. I mean, they played a tough schedule. I get it. Stanford does have the wins, but they're still 4-4. And I know Ball State's win aren't anything to ride home about, and I get it. They did have to go 5 with Purdue Fort Wayne, but I still think Ball State is a little bit more deserving than Stanford, especially since they did pull off a win at Stanford, even though Stanford did beat them. So you can make the argument for both Stanford and Ball State. And then I put Grand Canyon back in the top 10. I was going to put UC San Diego, but then I realized, nah. I mean, UC San Diego hasn't played – I mean, Grand Canyon hasn't played the greatest schedule, but UC San Diego also went 5 with Vanguard. And then their 2 losses are to UCLA and Loyola Chicago, so I can't fault UC San Diego too much, but I will also just say that I think that UC San Diego's got to prove it to us this week that they deserve to be in my top 10 of off the block. So there's that right there. And then I guess it's best to go over week 7 or preview week 7 of the NCAA men's volleyball season. Let's actually put week 7 preview really quick. But yeah, week 7 is going to be another barn burner of a week, and conference play is now getting into full swing. So Monday, yes, believe it or not, we have a big-time match this Monday. We have Ohio State versus Purdue Fort Wayne. That could go either way just because Purdue Fort Wayne, look, they managed to almost beat Ball State on the road. If they can play like they did against Ball State, I think they could take down Ohio State. Ohio State does still have talent. They've got Cole Young and Shane Wetzel. They've got the young talent as well. But I think Ohio State should be able to win this one. But don't count out the Mastodons. Tuesday, we don't have anything too big. I mean, we have North Greenville and Lees McRae, but that's pretty much it. And then Wednesday, we've got some big-time matches. We get round 2 between number 1 Long Beach State as they go down to Westwood to take on number 3 UCLA. This is definitely going to test the beach, as this is I expect this to be at least some sort of hostile environment. Someone did say that they hoped that this would be good turnouts for both matches. So the Long Beach State UCLA match, round 1 at Long Beach State, that actually was a sold-out match. I think you could have gotten tickets for over $2,000. I kid you not. That's what I saw on the internet. But then again, the internet isn't all that it's cracked up to be, but I digress. But yeah, Long Beach State UCLA, midweek match, but I think it's going to be a very good one. The Bruins are going to try to get their lick back against the beach. And the biggest fans of this match will be UC Irvine, which is actually a perfect segue to go into this match to preview. UC Irvine hosting USC, number 2 versus number 5. Number 2 hosting number 5. The two teams also face each other on Friday, as someone's going to be leaving with 1 loss. I guarantee you that. But who will it be? This is going to really test USC, just because USC is finally going to get a true challenge. Like this, most of their season they've coasted through. I mean, they did take down Princeton when they were ranked. They did take down Ohio State and Penn State. Solid wins right there. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much that. They haven't really been tested for the most part, but I want to see them actually do well against UC Irvine. And this really sucks that I can't be able to make that matchup because I'm still in Texas. Yeah, it's such a bummer that I'm not able to make these big time matches. I mean, top 10 match. This is a top 5 match, and then not just for Long Beach State UCLA, but for USC UC Irvine. I would have gotten the opportunity to see what the Anteaters and Trojans can do in person. Same with the Bruins and the Beach, but unfortunately, I was unable to get the green light to leave, and I'm still here in Texas, and I'm gonna have to watch via ESPN or ESPN Plus and Big Ten Plus and whatnot. Thursday, we don't have too much except the first MPSF series. We have BYU at Concordia Irvine on Thursday. The two will also face each other on Friday. BYU should have no problem winning this. I'd be shocked if BYU did not beat Concordia Irvine. If they somehow lose to Concordia Irvine, I don't want to hear anybody saying that BYU can be contenders to win the MPSF or the national championship. Then Thursday, we have number 14 Lewis taking on number 9 Ball State. This one's going to be fun. I want to see how Lewis does after bouncing back, and I want to see how Ball State does after they nearly lost to Purdue Fort Wayne. I want to see some really good matches from both of those teams. So I think we're going to get a really good matchup right there. I think Ball State with Tanashi Indaba-Zocheva and Patrick Rogers and Aaron Hernandez, not the football player, the volleyball player. I think those guys are going to be a tough and daunting challenge for the Flyers. But Lewis is definitely good. And I also got to give a big congratulations to Dan Friend. He just recently picked up his 400th win, and here's some more wins to come for Coach Friend. So that's that for the notable matchups Thursday. Friday, we got a lot of plethora of good matches. Let's start off with some sneaky good conference matches. We've got Princeton at NJIT. Princeton is no longer ranked as NJIT is ranked, so we're going to see if Princeton has the Jersey grit against New Jersey Institute of Technology, or NJIT. And then Lewis and Ball State face each other on Friday. Like I said, it's going to be a very good matchup. I want to see Max Roque step up, as well as all the other players on Lewis. So that could be a big one right there for the Flyers. They need that one. Then you got number 12 UC San Diego at number 10 Grand Canyon on Friday and Saturday. Like I mentioned, if UC San Diego wants to be a top 10 team, they got to take down a top 10 team. They are 0 for 2 in top 10 matches, but this time they have a chance. Grand Canyon, with the news of their head coach leaving, they could actually benefit from that just because they've got the interim or assistant head coach switch and whatnot, but it still remains to be seen. And then we have Pepperdine taking on Long Beach State, number 11 Pepperdine, or not Long Beach State, number 11 Pepperdine taking on number 16 UC Santa Barbara. This should be a little bit of a fun one, as the two teams also face each other on Saturday in Malibu. So Pepperdine will be hosting on Saturday against UC Santa Barbara. I want to see UC Santa Barbara bounce back after they got thumped against BYU. And I also want to see Pepperdine looking like the top 10 team that they deserve to be. Because they've got young talent. They're in a little bit of a rebuild year, but I don't find that as an excuse just because I think UC Santa Barbara is kind of in the same boat, so we'll see what happens. And then I guess Vanguard versus Long Beach State is another kind of sneaky good matchup. I mean, I kind of expect Long Beach State to win, but unless they have like a UCLA hangover, I don't see Long Beach State struggling too much in this match. And then you've got number 2 UC Irvine at number 5 USC. That's a fun matchup right there. I really want to see the Trojans defend home court. It's going to be their Valentine's Day match. So you have that right there. And then on Saturday, we have a sneaky good NorCal matchup. Dre, if you're still listening, this is the match to watch for. The Masters College of the NAIA taking on number 8 Stanford. Now, if the Masters College really wants to prove themselves as a real team, and this could be their ticket to hopefully waking up everybody and saying that the Masters College deserves to be in NCAA Division I and II, this is the matchup to win. If the Masters College wins this matchup, then they're no doubt the favorite to win the NAIA. But if they beat Stanford, this also proves that they should be making the jump from NAIA to Division II, or for NCAA men's volleyball purposes, NCAA Division I-2 or National Collegiate. And then also on Saturday, like I mentioned, we have UC Santa Barbara at Pepperdine, UC San Diego at Grand Canyon round 2. And then also this match in the MIVA, number 6 Loyola Chicago taking on number 18 McKendree. Well, if McKendree wants to remain ranked, they got to take down one of the big dogs or the big Ramblers. So Loyola Chicago is undefeated, but I want to see McKendree give them a challenge. I want to see them challenge them like they did 2 years ago, which they wound up beating them in the MIVA quarterfinals in 5 sets. But it still remains to be seen because Loyola is stacked this year. They've got Parker Van Buren, Ryan McElligott, Jake Reed, Daniel Fabakovic. The list goes on and on. So you have that for Loyola Chicago. That's going to be a fun one right there in Illinois, right there. Nice little Illinois matchup. And that's pretty much that for all the notable matchups from NCAA Men's Volleyball Week 7 preview. So that'll do it for right there and then. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break, catch my breath for a little bit. When we come back, we've got some NCAA Women's Volleyball coaching news to discuss. Then we'll discuss a little bit of some PVF and some LOVB. So keep it locked here. You're listening to Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cal Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Sin City Sports and Let's Whine About DMV Sports. So without any further delay, let's get back into the NCAA volleyball action. So we're just going to transition into NCAA women's volleyball. So some big breaking news that happened this past week. So we'll start on Thursday, even though it's going out of order. So we had Mary Wise retiring from her head coaching position after 34 seasons with the Gators and over 40 years of volleyball. Mary Wise has decided to hang up the clipboard. So another big coaching figure has retired. So we had John Cook the previous week, and now we have Mary Wise, which I think is just wild if you ask me. So what do I have to say? Except Mary Wise had over 900 wins at Florida, which I thought was impressive. She was 13 wins away from 1,000 wins at Florida, but it sucks that she couldn't get to 1,000 wins, but it is what it is, and she's been coaching for a long time, and she even was an assistant coach for Purdue before coming on to Florida. So in my opinion, I really wish we could have seen more from her. I really wish we could have seen like Florida getting to that national championship or winning that national championship, but it is what it is. And I will say she had a fantastic coaching career, and I wish her nothing but the best going forward into retirement. And she's earned it, honestly. And there's no doubt in my mind she's going to go down as one of the greatest of all times in terms of NCAA women's volleyball coaches. And she should be on every volleyball fans and volleyball personalities Mount Rushmore in terms of NCAA women's volleyball coaches. So, Mary Wise, I gave you a Set Point salute off to retirement, and I wish you nothing but the best in your next life. So, Florida is going to have to hit a home run in terms of this coaching hire, kind of like Nebraska did when they saw John Cook retire, only to hire Danny Busboom Kelly from Louisville. So, you have that right there in terms of NCAA women's volleyball news. This kind of makes me wonder, will the floodgates open for Florida in the transfer portal? I know Kennedy Martin is not going anywhere. She said it on her Instagram. She is not going to go anywhere. She's going to stay at Florida until the cows come home. So you have that right there as well. So there's that bit of NCAA women's volleyball coaching news. And then we had Oregon women's volleyball hiring Trent Kirsten as he stepped down from LMU's women's volleyball, from his head coaching position from LMU women's volleyball, as he now takes the position at Oregon. So this is a great hire, in my opinion. I think Trent Kirsten did wonders for the LMU women's volleyball team. And I thought the 2 years that he was with them, I thought that was absolutely incredible work. The first year, LMU did not have any bad losses, and they could have easily made the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately for them, they just were on the last four, or the first four out, or the first few out. So, and then LMU improved on that, and they managed to make the NCAA women's volleyball tournament by winning the West Coast Conference for the first time since the 1990s. That's just how long it's been since LMU had finally been able to win the West Coast Conference. I know they were kind of still under the heel of BYU, but Pepperdine was also a thing. San Diego also had that year where they went to the Final Four, and they've also been a little bit of a perennial powerhouse. But this being the year where LMU finally broke through with all that talent they had on their team, unbelievable. So Trent Kirsten steps down, but taking his place, and you got to give props to LMU for hiring this guy, Colby O'Donnell takes over as head coach for LMU's women's volleyball team. So he was actually Kirsten's assistant coach, and I thought this was real good work by LMU, quickly hiring him. He's going to need to put together a coaching staff because I think they only have one assistant coach, if I recall correctly. But I think Colby O'Donnell will do a great job with LMU. I think O'Donnell, he does great work. He did great work with Kirsten, and now it's going to be his turn to lead the Lions in the terms of the West Coast Conference. So that's been your coaching news right there in terms of NCAA women's volleyball. And I guess we'll talk a little NCAA beach volleyball news as well. I should have brought this up when the week after this news was released, but the National Collegiate Beach Volleyball Tournament, or NCAA Beach Volleyball Tournament, has changed location. So it's not going to be in Huntington Beach, California, which really sucks. But it'll be in Gulf Shores, Alabama, which everyone and their mom seems to like better just because it's kind of the origination of the National Collegiate Beach Volleyball Tournament. Well, I will counter by saying this. Huntington Beach is Surf City, and Huntington Beach as well as Manhattan Beach is kind of the mecca for NCAA beach volleyball. Nobody can change my mind. So here is the statement that was given. Underneath is the statement given by the Orange County, I think it was Orange County Health Department or Orange County Athletic Director of something. So athletic director. But yeah, look, I mean, Gulf Shores, Alabama, at least they gave it a good place. I mean, Gulf Shores, Alabama was kind of the expected place every single year. But I really would have liked to have seen Huntington Beach be the host school. Maybe we could have gotten a bigger turnout, maybe. But it also, I think, kind of has something to do with obviously the fires that happened in Pacific Palisades from 50 miles further from Huntington Beach. So yeah, it's a bummer that we're not going to be. Well, me personally, I think it's a bummer. I mean, for every other fan that doesn't live in California or that's an Alabama native, good on you. You're going to be seeing the NCAA Beach Volleyball Tournament back in Gulf Shores, Alabama, which I think is going to be pretty darn cool if you ask me. So I can't really complain about this too much. At least they were able to be quick about this and pick a good and better location. I mean, Huntington Beach has its pros and cons. Would they? And I also think that maybe the AVP's Huntington Beach Open being right after that is kind of had a little bit of an influence right there, just because going from NCAA Beach Volleyball Tournament to the AVP's Huntington Beach Open, which kicks off the AVP season, that's a quick whirlwind right there. That's a quick 360, 720 right there. So I understand maybe the reasoning for it. And I know you'll all will probably see the message that was given by Anthony Bereneman. But that is pretty much that for that NCAA beach volleyball news. And then to close off NCAA women's volleyball, or in terms of women's volleyball altogether until we get to the pros, we have the U.S. women's national volleyball team coaching staff being finalized. So head coach, as we all know, is Eric Sullivan. And then the assistant coaches are Brandon Taliaferro, Mike Wall, and Taiba Hanif Park. So Hanif Park was a definite home run. I think this was a great hire, in my opinion. She obviously was a former national team member, and I think with her being the head coach of the San Diego Mojo, I think this is perfect. This is definitely perfect, a perfect hire for the assistant coach, which means, unfortunately, that means Alfie Reft won't be back, and then I forget Aaron Virtue also won't be back, which kind of sucks, but I wish but it is what it is, and there's new management. And then I can't really say much for Mike Wall, but I'm a little surprised Brandon Taliaferro is an assistant coach. But you kind of got to remember that the CEO of USA Volleyball is John Speraw, and remember, he did coach with Brandon Taliaferro when he was at UCLA in terms of men's volleyball. So you have to take that into consideration as well. So overall, I think it's an okay staff. We can't really judge too much. All we can just do is see what the VNL has in store for us in terms of this year, as well as the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. So we shall see, but it basically does it for that little bit of news right there. So now let's jump on into the Pro Volleyball Federation Week 6 recap and Week 7 preview. So in terms of the Week 6 recap, we had a lot. It was another barn burner of a week. It was another fun week, and let's get on into the action. So wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Okay, here we go. So Thursday, we had the Omaha Supernovas sweeping the Indy Ignite to kick off Week 6. All right, this was a very good win. This was at the Fishers Event Center, and the Omaha Supernovas looked like the Omaha Supernovas that I know that is a dominant team that is not going to let anyone and anything get in their way. And Omaha just looked like they played the part of looking like a very good team. I was just color me impressed. But this isn't ultimately surprising just because while I am surprised they swept Indy at Indy, the set scores were also pretty tight as well, as Omaha did need some big contributions from Brooke Nunaviller, who had 14 kills. They also got 12 kills from Reagan Cooper. They got 11 kills from Emily Londot. She came off the bench, and she actually was in her starting position, or she actually started opposite, which I thought was pretty darn cool. She also had 9 digs to boot as well. Nunaviller also had 10 digs. Natalia Valentine Anderson, she had 33 assists to go along with 11 digs, which I thought was good. And then Camila Gomez, she had 14 digs, which I thought was pretty darn awesome as well. And Indy Ignite could not pick up the win despite a 19-kill performance from Lekator member Monet. And they got Azani Teeler with 14 kills. So I'm starting to get the feeling that Indy is starting to cool off a bit after their hot starts. But I think Omaha is also proving that they are still the real deal. Like, they have the talent on that team of theirs, and they're not going to let anything get in their way. And I think Omaha is back after that whole little bit of that MLV news. I think everyone said, oh, the MLV news hasn't really affected us. Well, I think you were affected a little bit. But now you're back in action, and that actually was the first time the Indy Ignite was ever swept. Yes, this is their first season, but this loss, or that win, that sweep came after the Supernovas were swept by the Orlando Valkyries. Speaking of Orlando Valkyries, perfect segue to go into their match against the Atlanta Vibe, where they swept said Atlanta Vibe team. So the Valkyries were led by Brittany Abercrombie, who had 15 kills and 9 digs. They also got 13 kills and 10 digs from Adora Ane. Is this the match that we saw the record-breaking? No, it wasn't. But the Orlando Valkyries did get 3 service aces from Natalie Foster, which I'll be discussing in a little bit, And then Gudapard had 32 assists to go along with 7 digs. And then for the Atlanta Vibe, they were led by Leah Edmond, who had 10 kills. But that was pretty much it. Their next kill leader was Corey Lewis, who had 6 kills. And that was pretty much that in terms of their notable standouts. Marley Monserrat had 17 digs and 7 digs, or 17 assists and 7 digs, and Morgan Hentz had 12 digs. But this just didn't seem like the Atlanta Vibe that I had thought. Like, this didn't seem like the Atlanta Vibe that was chosen to finish first in the PBF. This seemed to be like a very questionable Atlanta Vibe team. But for the Valkyrie, and this was actually played at Gas South Arena. I said that this was played in Orlando. My bad. This was played at Gas South Arena. So Orlando is starting to look a whole lot better. Like, this is starting to look like the Orlando Valkyries team that I expected to see and that everyone expected to see. And then we had the Columbus Fury heading down to Columbus Fury hosting Grand Rapids, where finally the Columbus Fury picked up their first win of the season as they took down the Rise in 5 sets. This was a great win for the Fury. It's their first win of the season, and finally they were able to get a win. I was wondering if they were ever going to get that first win, as Isabella Rapax led the way with 23 kills and 14 digs. Raina Terry also added 14 kills and 15 digs. Raina Terry has definitely been a bright spot for this Columbus Fury team just because she is definitely she's a newcomer for starters, but for second and foremost, she definitely has talent, and she's definitely using that talent to her advantage. Then Megan Courtney Lush added 14 digs. Paula Criame added 15 digs. Wilma Rivera had 39 assists and 10 digs. The Rise were led by Carly Snyder, who had 20 kills. Erica Pritchard had 10 kills. And then Paige Briggs-Romine added 9 kills. August Rasky had 53 assists to go along with 13 digs. And then Snyder added 18 digs. And then Alina Ogilvy had 15 digs. So eventually the Rise were going to cool off eventually. But I didn't think that it would be against the Fury. Well, actually, no. I did say that the Fury was going to get some sort of good chance at winning. But I just didn't think that they would actually take the chance and run with it. So great job to the Fury. And then the Vegas Thrill swept the San Diego Mojo, which the Mojo were contested in the first 2 sets. Actually, the first set, it was tight. Second set, they trailed most of the way, and then they just ran with it by storm. And then the third set, they put it in cruise control, and then they managed to win that without trailing. So it was actually the first set that they were pretty much tight with the Mojo. Second set also pretty tight, but then they pulled away. And then the third set, they put it into overdrive, and then they never looked back. So this was at Viejas Arena in San Diego as Charity Looper led the way with 12 kills. Cameron Hanna added 11 kills. Actually leading the way for Vegas was Hannah Maddox, who had 16 kills. San Diego was led by Elise McGee, who had 16 kills. Kendra Dahlke had 10 kills. So it's starting to look like the Mojo are heading in the wrong direction. Well, the Thrill, they're heading in the right direction, which I think is pretty darn good if you ask me. And then we had the Omaha Supernovas taking down the Atlanta Vibe, which at Atlanta in 4 sets. So once again, the Supernovas are looking like the team that I thought they would be. Reagan Cooper led the way with 18 kills. Brooke Nunneviller, 13 kills. Emily Londot, 10 kills, as well as 10 digs. I think the Supernovas have found their starting opposite in Emily Londot. No questions to be asked. Leah Edmond led the Vibe with 18 kills and 11 digs as the Vibe, they're heading in the wrong direction as well. But there's still a little bit of season left, and soon they'll probably be heading to the All-Star break and whatnot. So we're actually going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to recap Indy Ignite and Orlando Valkyries and then preview Week 7. And then we'll talk a little LOVB. So keep it locked here. You were listening to Set Point here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your 5-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode. Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back for the final segment of Set Point here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Adam's show, Chi-Town Weekly, will be coming up in about an hour and 30 minutes. Sorry about the little bit of a delay right there. Thought I had my camera turned on, but it wasn't. But I digress. Anyway, so let's let's finish recapping Week 6 of the PVF season and then preview Week 7. So the Orlando Valkyries hosted the Indy Ignite, where I actually got to see this match on a TV in a restaurant. So thank you to Hein BBQ for televising the Orlando Valkyries Indy Ignite match, which was being televised on FS2. And the Orlando Valkyries were able to take down the Indy Ignite in 4 sets, where the Ignite wound up winning the first set in overtime, 28-26. And then the Valkyries just wound up winning the next 3 sets. There was even a PVF record that was broken as Natalie Foster broke the single match service ace record, as she had a whopping 6 service aces. She also chipped in 12 kills as well, so not bad by Natalie Foster. Brittany Abercrombie led the Valkyries with 14 kills and 11 digs. They also got 13 kills from Kaz Brown and 10 kills from Adora Ane. So 4 different players with 10-plus kills. That is a recipe for success if you're the Valkyries. For the Indy Ignite, they were led by Azani Teeler, who had 20 kills and 12 digs. They also got 14 kills and 15 digs from Lekator member Benet. Kylie Murr had the start at the libero. She had 17 digs. Sydney Hilly had 52 assists and 11 digs. So the Valkyries, like I mentioned, they're starting to look like the Orlando Valkyries that I expected to see. But for the Indy Ignite, they're starting to go backwards a little. I think the competition is starting to basically keep up with them, and the Indy Ignite aren't able to keep up with the competition. So unfortunately for the Valkyries, unfortunately for the Valkyries, or for the Ignite, the Valkyries got the better of them. Unfortunately for the Ignite, they are starting to trend in the wrong direction, but soon they will be able to they'll hopefully be able to get back on track this week. But again, the competition, I think, is starting to really change into form. But I just think that Orlando is just starting to find their footing again after a little bit of a rough patch. But I think Indy needs to also step it up as well. All right, that is that for PVF Week 6 recap. So Week 7 starts on Wednesday, where the Orlando Valkyries play at the Columbus Fury at Nationwide Arena. Well, look, I'd be surprised if the Valkyries, with the streak that they're on, if they lose this one. So we'll see what the Fury can do, but I think the Valkyries should win this, but don't count out anybody just yet. But I think for the Valkyries, with them playing such great volleyball as of late, and with Brittany Abercrombie continuing to get double-digit kill after kill after kill, the Valkyries are just going to look so tough to beat, even on the road. Even when they're on the road. And then for the Fury, they have nowhere to go but up, so all that they can do is hope that they play their best and it pays off for them. Then we jump to Thursday. We have the Indy Ignite hosting the San Diego Mojo. Well, this is the battle of 2 teams that are kind of trending in the wrong direction. So if the Ignite want to continue to stay in the top 4, they need to win this match. If the Mojo want to get back into their winning ways, and if they want to climb into the top 4, then they have to win this match. Something's got to give here in terms of losing streaks. And I think that the Ignite can definitely win this match, but the Mojo definitely need like a wake-up call. So we'll see what happens. And then also on Thursday, we have the Atlanta Vibe playing at the Grand Rapids Rise. Well, the last time these two teams met, the Rise took them down in straight sets for the first win of the season. I thought the Rise were going to be in a little bit of a rebuild year, but I think the Rise are definitely rising to the occasion. Now, both these teams are coming off of losses, but the Vibe have lost 2 straight. So the Vibe have literally got to get back on that horse, and they got to go forward instead of backward. Whereas the Rise, they're now 500, and if the league continues to have a little bit of a logjam, then if they're going to be vying for a playoff spot, I see them vying for like the 3rd or 4th playoff spot. If the Rise are able to make the playoffs. And now they obviously could make it to 2nd or 1st, but that's a long shot with how the Thrill are playing and with how the Supernovas are playing. And I think the Valkyries are still playing great, and I don't think they're going to be slowing down for anybody. But if the Vibe need any sort of motivation, they got to remember that the last time these two teams met one another, Rise took them down in straight sets. And then also, this was the team that ended their season last year. And then Saturday, speaking of the Rise, they travel to Orlando to take on the Orlando Valkyries at Edition Financial Arena. All right, well, let's see if the Valkyries can continue to stay hot when it comes to their great gameplay. If they can continue to stay hot, then I definitely will be taking back what I said last week, where I said that the Valkyries are not looking like the team that they were, and they were kind of looking a little mid or fraudish. But I don't think the Valkyries are frauds at all. I think the Valkyries are starting to become the team that I expected them to be and everyone expected them to be. And then also on Sunday, we have the San Diego Mojo playing at the Omaha Supernovas. All right, well, the Supernovas are trending up while the Mojo are trending down. The last time these two teams played one another, the Mojo actually wound up beating the Supernovas in 4 sets. But that was during the week where the MLV news was released and the Supernovas were going through that, and they were also coming off of a loss to Vegas. So I think the Supernovas should have the Mojo's number. I mean, it's still very tough to win at CHI Health Center. Also on Sunday, we have the Indy Ignite versus the Atlanta Vibe. Well, look, Atlanta was slated to be the best team in the league in terms of the regular season, and they're not living up to that expectation. The Indy Ignite were also slated to be in the top 4, and they're kind of trending in the wrong direction. So this is kind of the get back on track match for either of these teams. So, and this is being played on CBS Sports Network, so that's something to make note of as well. And then closing off Week 7, we've got the Vegas Thrill at the Columbus Fury. Well, I would be stunned if the Thrill lost this one. With how the Vegas Thrill have been playing and with how much time off they're going to be getting, I don't see how this team doesn't lose this one. I mean, it'll be, 10 days since they've played a match. So I can't wait to see a well-rested Thrill team taking on a Fury team, which is still trying to get their bearings. So you have that right there. And then looking at the standings and a little bit of all-star news to close off, we have the Vegas Thrill still in first place, but one match behind them is the Omaha Supernovas. Then you got the Valkyries, 1 match behind them, and the Grand Rapids Rise, a half a match behind them. The Indy Ignite are also tied for 5th with the Rise, or tied for 4th with the Rise. The Vibe are 4 and 5, a half a match behind Indy. San Diego Mojo is a full match behind Indy and Grand Rapids at 3 and 5, and the Columbus Fury is bringing up the rear at 1 and 7. So now for some PVF All-Star news. So All-Star news is being played in Indiana, obviously. Sean Johnson East is going to be a guest. Yes, the Sean Johnson East, the former Olympian. But also joining her will be Jalen Rose. So last week I said the problem I have with Sean Johnson East being part of the broadcast is she's not the volleyball mind that I expected. I mean, it's an all-star match. I shouldn't think anything of it. I shouldn't be so serious about it, but I think we would get volleyball knowledge or volleyball personalities, maybe Anne-Marie Anderson or Emily Eamon or Daniel Gilman or something else of that sort. But I don't know. But I won't complain about it because they've also got Jalen Rose also going to be hosting the All-Star game as well. Now I'm assuming it's hosting and not playing, or not. Yeah, so it's going to be co-hosted by Jalen Rose. So I'm not sure if it's going to be co-hosted or it's going to be volleyball analysis and whatnot, but I think it's going to be co-hosted. So co-hosts, okay, this kind of makes sense. This makes sense because Jalen Rose used to play for the Indiana Pacers. So Jalen Rose will be co-hosting this. Now, and he was also, I guess, a member of the Michigan Fab Five, but I digress regarding that. But, yeah, Jalen Rose, he used to play basketball in Indiana when he was a part of the Pacers. So I guess co-hosting this isn't bad. And I guess it's co-hosting, not like being on the commentary where it's just random and whatnot. But, yeah, co-hosting isn't bad. I mean, being like the voice of it and being like the MC, I think that's cool right there. And then the coaches for each team are not going to be PVF coaches, but they're actually going to be Don Shondell and Michelle Collier. So the Purdue women's volleyball coach and the Georgia Tech women's volleyball coach will be coaching the all-star matches and not the traditional PVF coaches, which I kind of question just because it's like you got to give the coaches in the PVF some sort of reward. But what do I know? All right, but that is that for the PVF in terms of their all-star news right there. So it's going to be in Indiana, Fisher's Event Center. So you have that to look forward to as well. And from what I told that Indiana is the quote-unquote volleyball state, we will see. All right, but that's that for PVF news right there. So now let us recap Week 6 of LOVB and preview Week 7. So Week 6 of – actually, this is – oh, boy. Oh, boy. So this is actually Week 5 and not Week 6 and 7. So let me change that really quick. Yeah, a lot of volleyball that's been happening. So my bad for putting Week 6 and Week 7. So this week is Week 6, and then last week was Week 7. So last week was Week 5, and then this week is Week 6. Kablamo. Okay, there we go. All right, but now LOVB Week 5 recap and then Week 6 preview. So Week 5 took us to Austin, where LOVB Houston took down LOVB Austin in 4 sets, winning the first set by a score of 33-31. They also won the second set 25-23. Austin won the third set 25-21, and then Houston pretty much blew by them in the fourth set 25-16. So, yeah, don't look now, but Houston is still starting to look good. I think that they're definitely looking like this is kind of the match. This is the exact match that Houston needs to continue their winning ways. So, looking at the stats, which I finally located in terms of, of course not. Yeah, thanks, LOVB. Oh, here we are. Here are the statistics. But it looks, we found them. We found the statistics. So, leading Houston in the win is Jordan Thompson, who had 23 kills. She also had 9 digs. Maddie Rochelle also added 15 digs to go along with 21 digs. Jess Merzick added 12 kills to go along with 9 digs. So, yeah, that right there for Houston. And then Max Garrett led Austin with 20 kills and 8 digs. Logan Eggleston had 14 kills and 7 digs. Anna Hawk had 10 kills and 13 digs. So, again, don't look now, but the LOVB Houston is still continues to own this rivalry. They still continue to be the juggernaut when it comes to the Battle of Texas. So, you had that right there. And then the weekend with love, or weekend with LOVB, took us to Salt Lake, where LOVB Atlanta took down LOVB Salt Lake in 4 sets, which, okay, this one wasn't all that surprising just because this was the Atlanta team that I was expecting to see. I expected LOVB Atlanta to be this good, and all in all, Tessa Grubbs continued to be a force for Atlanta as well, as she had 23 kills. And Atlanta, like I mentioned, this was going to be a big week. They obviously were coming off that big win over Omaha, but I also wanted to see how they would respond after said win against Omaha, just because I think that Omaha is definitely – I think Omaha might be the team to beat in LOVB this year. But Atlanta is a very close second. So do not count out the Atlanta by any means necessary. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, for Atlanta, winning this match on the road was pretty incredible. Tessa Grubbs led the way with 23 kills. Gia Day had 13 kills and 10 digs. Kelsey Cook also had 13 kills and 15 digs. And then for Utah, they were led by Skylar Fields, who had 11 kills. Danny Drews had 8 kills with 4 digs. And that was pretty much that in terms of that little matchup right there. But yeah, LOVB Atlanta is hot as of late. Or I guess we should call them LOVB Hot Atlanta, because that winning streak is starting to get really, 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 really hot. And then they continued that trend with a 3-set win over Madison. It was the best team versus the worst team. I kind of have to pretty much say it as is. I kind of have to pretty much say it as is. This isn't disrespecting LOVB Madison, but yeah, Atlanta is on a roll. They're like butter on a hot roll, or they're like butter on hot bread on a roll. Anyway, but yeah, Atlanta hit 376 in the match when they took down Madison, so that's not ultimately surprising. And yeah, this actually has a little bit of significance because the LOVB Classic that's going to be held in Kansas City, yes, the same city that saw their football team lose in the Super Bowl yesterday. The LOVB Classic is going to be held in Kansas City, and it's actually going to be a tournament, which that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty nice. It's an in-season tournament, and this is obviously the first year of LOVB, so they kind of want to get people involved, especially since the NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship and semifinals is going to be held in Kansas City. So that is very smart right there. And then LOVB Omaha outlasted LOVB Salt Lake in 5 sets. Omaha straight up ran through them in the first 2 sets, and then Salt Lake returned the favor, realizing, hey, we can't be losing at home twice. And then Salt Lake jumped out to a 5-2 lead in set 5, but then Omaha was able to knot it up at 7 apiece. And then Omaha just ran away with it throughout the most part in the latter stage of set 5, winning set 5 15-12. So Omaha also clinched a bye in the LOVB Classic. So the number 1 overall seed in the tournament is LOVB Atlanta. Number 2 seed is LOVB Omaha. So the LOVB Classic is as follows. LOVB Madison takes on LOVB Houston, which means it's the 6th best team in the league versus the 3rd best team in the league. And then we've got LOVB Austin taking on LOVB Salt Lake following that matchup. These matchups are going to be on Friday, and they're both going to be on ESPN Plus, which I think is pretty darn cool if you ask me. And then the semifinals are going to be on Saturday, and they'll also be on ESPN Plus. So I want to say the winner. I don't know if we'll do it NFL style, but I think the winner or the lowest seed will take on the LOVB Atlanta, and then the highest seed remaining will take on LOVB Omaha. And yeah, this is going to be a triple header. So the winner of the semifinals of each match will play each other on Sunday. So yeah. Sunday is going to be a triple header. So it's going to basically determine 6th place, and then 5th place, 3rd place, and then 1st place. So yeah. So the winner of each semifinal will get to face one another, and then the loser of each quarterfinal will face each other for 5th place. So this is kind of interesting if you ask me. And then the 5th place match will take place on ESPN Plus, but still be played at Municipal Arena. And then the 3rd place match will be played on ESPNU and on And yeah, I guess you can watch all the matches on ESPN Plus, but the 3rd place match will be played on ESPNU, and then the LOVB Classic Championship match will be played on ESPN2. So that's some good marketing right there. LOVB is being really creative about this, even though in-season tournaments can have their pros and cons. But this is kind of a nice little thing right here because at least everyone I think has hosted. Just to double check, Atlanta hosted, Weekend with LOVB. Salt Lake hosted weekend with LOVB. Omaha hosted weekend with LOVB. Madison hosted weekend with LOVB. Houston hosted with LOVB. So yeah, not everyone is hosted. So Austin will be the next team to host weekend with LOVB, which will be after this in-season tournament, which I think is pretty cool. And the weekend with LOVB will actually be a double header, and it'll just only be on Friday, the following Friday, meaning the 19th. Friday the 19th, and Friday, yeah, that's it. And then they've also, it's going to be the weekend with LOVB at Austin will be Austin versus Houston, and then there will be a doubleheader on Thursday, and then a doubleheader on a match on Friday. So sorry if I'm being confusing when it comes to this. Like, they really could have done a little bit better of a job in terms of like labeling doubleheader with head-to-head, but I digress. But that's pretty much that right there. We're not going to look that far ahead. That is week 7. This is week 6, and we've got the LOVB Classic, which means we're pretty much running through the season in terms of LOVB. So I can't wait to see what's in store for us. And week 14 is – so there's 14 weeks when it comes to this, and this is actually the LOVB Finals. So there's 13 weeks of the regular season. So pretty much after this week, we're kind of halfway through the LOVB season. So there's still plenty of time for a lot of teams because there's only there's 6 teams in this league, and there's still plenty of season left. All right, but that is that for that little bit of LOVB news right there. So, all right, a little bit of 3C2A men's volleyball action, and then I'll let you all go. So last Tuesday we had Long Beach City outlasting Grossmont on the road in 5 sets, which that was a big win right there. In case you're wondering where Grossmont is, it's in San Diego. And then on Wednesday, we had Irvine Valley taking down Santa Barbara City in 4 sets. Golden West swept Moore Park in a rematch of last year's quarterfinal matchup. Orange Coast blew the doors off of El Camino in straight sets at El Camino. Fullerton took down Santiago Canyon in the battle of 2 former Orange Empire Conference opponents. And then Santa Monica took down Palomar in 4 sets for Santa Monica's handing Palomar their first loss of the season. And then last Friday in the 3C2A, we had Moore Park sweeping Irvine Valley. This was kind of a shocker just because I thought Irvine Valley was a little better than that, but Moore Park seems to still have their number. Then we had Orange Coast OCC sweeping Fullerton in 4 sets. Gotta give props to Fullerton. I thought Fullerton was going to be a little bit more overwhelmed than that, but I thought they held their own the first set. Unfortunately for them, they were facing the back-to-back-to-back state champions, and in my opinion, they need to play perfect, especially on the road. Then we had Golden West sweeping Santa Barbara City on the road. Good win for the Wrestlers. Santa Monica swept Grossmont. Another good win right there. Long Beach City demolished Palomar in straight sets. And then El Camino got their their second win of the season, taking down Santiago Canyon in straight sets. Actually, I think that was – no, it was their second win of the season. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much that for last Friday's 3C2A men's volleyball matches. And then we had San Diego Mesa taking down Pierce in straight sets, as well as Antelope Valley in straight sets. And then San Diego Miramar took down LA Pierce in straight sets. And it looks like we didn't get a final score when it came to the San Diego Miramar versus Antelope Valley match, which y'all got to actually, keep us up to date in terms of men's volleyball. Come on, don't make the same mistake that NCAA men's volleyball mistakes in terms of not showing it love. But I digress. Anyway, so this week this is going to be a good matchup. Tuesday being tomorrow, we have Orange Coast College hosting Long Beach City. So this is a classic rivalry match right here, rematch of last year's semifinals. I expect Orange Coast to defend their home court, but do not count out Long Beach City. They have a new head coach, and they've obviously had some roster turnover here and there, but Long Beach always plays OCC very tough in men's volleyball. And then Wednesday, we have El Camino at Golden West. Golden West should win that one fairly easily. That Golden West team, I think that team has the potential to challenge OCC. Then you got Santiago Canyon at Santa Monica. Santiago Canyon, look, I love Tim the Bear Johnson, But I just think Santa Monica is going to probably overwhelm Santiago Canyon. And then Fullerton, Irvine Valley. Okay, I want to see Irvine Valley respond after getting thumped by Moore Park. And I also want to see Fullerton playing another good team on the road. I want to see how Fullerton does against another good team on the road. But this will be an intriguing matchup. I want to see if Fullerton is actually the real deal, because if they are, then I think that they can go far, if not maybe challenge their way into the playoffs, but we'll see. But honestly, I wouldn't be ultimately shocked if IVC won. Then Thursday, we have Long Beach City hosting Santiago Canyon. Like I said, I love Tim the Bear Johnson. I think he does a great job with Santiago Canyon, but unfortunately, I just think Long Beach City is going to win out on their home court. And then Friday, we have Moore Park at San Diego Mesa. That's going to be a fun matchup. I think that could definitely be a fun matchup. We've got Antelope Valley at Palomar, San Diego Miramar at Santa Barbara. That's a sneaky good matchup right there. Then you got Grossmont at LA Pierce. Another, okay, I would say that's a meh matchup, but whatever. Grossmont and Antelope Valley, and then Pierce at Palomar. And you got Santa Barbara at San Diego Mesa. That's a good matchup right there. Very good matchup. Then you got Moore Park at San Diego Miramar. Another good matchup right there. Golden West at Fullerton. It's tough to win at Fullerton, but we'll see what Golden West can do against Fullerton. I think Fullerton is going to have their hands full, especially with that talented Golden West team. Then you got Santa Monica at Orange Coast. That's another good matchup right there. I want to see how good Santa Monica really is. And I want to see and this is a big week for OCC, so I want to see if OCC can actually get the job done against two really good teams, or two pretty darn good teams. And then also we've got Irvine Valley at El Camino, which I'm pretty sure IVC should win that one, but don't count out El Camino. And then I guess next Monday we have Santiago Canyon at LA Pierce. Okay, that's it. All right, but that is that for the 3C2A men's volleyball. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. Make sure if you haven't already, please do subscribe to iSports Radio. And make sure to check out the Supporters Club. It's only $5 a month. You'll be helping me, Teran Rodriguez, as well as iSports Radio and the show out. I would definitely appreciate it if you were to be a part of the Supporters Club for Set Point. I'll see you all on Friday for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Have a great week of volleyball and enjoy it. Peace and blessings, y'all.